Okay, so I'm home watching Mob. What is it? What's the name of the TV show I saw you on Plex TV? And it's
Mob TV.
Mob TV on Plex TV. And I saw this incredible interview because my
Uh-huh.
friend Larry Mazza has a talk show on Mob. If anybody likes gangster interviews and so on and so forth, Mob TV on Plex TV, Larry Mazza's show is fantastic. So I'm sitting there and I put on and he's interviewing this girl I never heard of, this woman named Joie Miami. So I'm watching this and I'm like fascinated. I'm like, I got to see if I ever get this woman on. So I did. So I got you on. And so this is Joanne Gallo, aka Joie Miami. So how you doing, Joey?
Hi, Johnny. How are you? Thank you for having me tonight.
Oh, you're very welcome. Most of the time when we talk organized crime, it's the guys. The girls are usually the wives or the mistresses, and women are not. But in
Right.
your case, you were directly involved with not
Yeah.
only organized crime, but one of the most powerful mob bosses in the country at the time.
Yes.
So just quickly, if you can, uh, tell us who the guy was and what you did for him, and then we'll start from the beginning.
Okay. Well, I was with a gentleman by the name of Santo Trafficante. I was his right hand, so to speak, as a liaison. I met him at a wake many years ago. And he was involved with so many different people at that time. He was involved with Escobar. He was involved with Hyman Larner, with Noriega. He was well known all over the world, as far as Asia, actually. So I met him at a wake, and a lot of people had heard about me because I had been doing a lot of stuff for the mob from Chicago and Miami and Panama.
Okay.
So at this wake, he was standing up talking to all the men, and he came over to me and he said, "Listen, who's Joey? Where's Joey?" Like that. And they turned around and said, "That's Joey. She's a woman. She's not a man, you know."
Right.
So we started talking, and he said, "Listen, my wife is over there. Why don't you come and sit with my wife?" I said, "Oh, I wouldn't mind. Thank you." And I excused myself and went over to her. And then later on in the evening, he came over and he said, "Would it be okay if we got together? I'd like you to come to the house, or I can meet you for coffee one day. I'd like to discuss something with you." So I said, "Okay, sure, fine." But he said, "But don't tell anybody because I don't really want anyone to know about our relationship as far as business."
Okay.
So I met him at a place called Corky's. It was like a diner, sort of like a deli type place on 163rd Street in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And we met there, and then he started telling me, "Listen, I want to move some stuff from time to time, and I need you to carry some money for me time to time. When the old man, which was Hyman Larner, paid me my money every month, I'd like you to bring it instead of Gene so we could, keep in touch of what's going on." So I said, "Well, what do you want me to do?" He said, "Well, I don't want you to tell anybody about our meetings. I want to know who's coming in town, who the players are, what money's being skimmed off the top, and let me know who's coming in and out of town and what they're buying and what they're getting rid of." So I said, "Okay." So he meant like, how much is the boss spending? Like the boss would go out and buy like $6,000 or $7,000 plates for his apartment. I mean, and then when their wives would come from out of town, they would go to my man Gino and say, "Hey, let me have 5,000 for my wife." And then the other one would say, "Let me have 2,000 for my wife." But I was saying, they're skimming off the top of my old man shit.
Right.
And when I went to Chicago, they never gave me anything. So why the hell should they come and skim off of my old man and make him look bad at when his drop is, when it's time for him to make books, he's short. You understand?
Sure.
So they would finagle where he would be short. However, I was saying tit for tat. If I go to Chicago, I'd like to have $5,000 too to go shopping. What the hell,
Right.
So that went on for a while. So that's how I basically met him. And Hyman Larner gave me the command to go and take his money. And years ago, you wouldn't take money in your handbag. You would tape it around your waist and then carry it in, so when you went through the airport, nobody would know. But nowadays they scan everything, so they would basically find out,
Right.
But that's how that went. Even when we went to the airport, we had a Learjet and a Cessna. And when I would go to the airport to make a drop, you could pay off guys at the airport and say, hey, let me get through. I got all this stuff that needs to be loaded in the plane. They would never even check it if you're coming up with big money. You understand?
Sure.
So what was going on there? Yeah.
So what years were this exactly?
I'm sorry?
What year was this around?
Oh, basically, like, in the late 70s up until the 80s, right before he died. But the 70s was really, like, I would say, okay, well, Nikki, my daughter, I met Gino in 74. So I would say probably 76, 77, somewhere in there. Yeah.
So for people who don't know, can you explain how powerful of a man Santo Trafficante was? Because he wasn't your average, like, boss. He wasn't a capo regime. He was the boss of Florida.
Yes, he was a well-known man all over the world. He was in Havana. In fact, they plotted to kill Castro at one time, and they got caught, and they were trying to poison him, actually, and he was in his prison. Well, his daughter got married in Cuba, in Havana, and his wife had to go to Cuba and bring over $200,000 to get him to get out for the wedding.
Wow.
So she was telling me, my God, Joey, he was a big mother,
Yeah.
So they finally got out. He finally got out, and then he paid a lot more money to leave Cuba. But when they left Cuba, they had a house in Cuba, and they had to leave everything. She told me I even had to swallow my wedding band, because they took everything. Mm-hmm. She said, can I leave my stuff for my housekeeper? They said, absolutely not. So that's how they came here, and they bought their home in Tampa, Florida, and they had another home in North Miami. Now, when I would visit him, it was very secretive. I mean, his family only knew so much when I was at their home, but they never really knew my main connection with him, you see? So even Gino didn't know. Nobody knew my connection with Santo. We had a very private thing. But a lot of people, the FBI had us on surveillance many times. So that's how they knew I was involved with him. Yeah.
Okay.
And when we would meet, it wouldn't be an ordinary place. We'd go to a movie house, or we go to have coffee, or we go to 163rd Street Mall, where the FBI had videos of me, and showed everybody on in the field. So they had me on surveillance.
So did this become more like a father-daughter kind of relationship?
Definitely.
Okay.
I kind of, I respected him. And like I was telling so many people that in my time frame of being in the Mafia, I was ordered to do a few things like embezzlement, laundering money. I would go to the banks and make big pickups from the Federal Reserves to take for the casinos. I would extort people in the bank in order for them to make them cash checks for me. And everything I wanted, the minute I walked in the bank, they would be, literally kissing my behind because they knew I had the cash. I'd say, hey, I need this, I need that. No problem. No problem.
Right.
Everything was good. I'm not bragging. It was just in that time of my life, I think I was in my middle 20s. Wow. I met Gino when I was 19. So all the Mafia men were very, very much older than I was. I was 19. They were in their 50s, almost 60s at the time. And they all respected me. I had, my daughter had so many uncles on Christmas night, so she would get all kinds of gifts. Like the thing that got me though about being in the Mafia, everybody thinks it's so glorified and everything, which it is. It's very glamorous. It's exciting. I like living on the edge, so it's great for me.
Yeah.
But the thing that got me the most was that I try to tell people, when they say, oh, the Mafia, it's so open now. Years ago, Johnny, it was more closed mouth. It was never talked about. It was like a hush hush thing, know.
Sure.
And nowadays, everybody's so loud and saying, oh, I killed this one, I killed that one. I've done a lot of things that I'm not proud of that I probably could, incriminate myself, but I'm given immunity. But what I'm trying to say is there's more things worse than murder, in my opinion. Okay.
I see.
And again, I wouldn't brag about what I did because nowadays I'd probably be ashamed of what I did. When you're younger, you don't think as much as you do when you're older.
Sure. Well, we don't have to go into that. But who exactly was Gino?
Gino was a soldier, a high-profile soldier in the organization. Gino, when he was a young man, from what I understand, there was a few guys from the crew in Chicago, and how they got started in the Mafia, they went to hold up a card game, and a lot of big shots were playing cards. And they said, "Hey, we don't want to, hurt these guys. Let them take the money. You guys want to work for us?"
Really?
So they hired these guys, and that's how they got in the Mafia.
That's funny.
Salvador Bastone and a few other guys. They went out, and these guys, big shots, were playing cards. They had the chief of police there, whoever, and they said, "Forget it. We're not going to prosecute. You just come and work for us." And they did. Now, Gino, from what I understand, Gino worked in Kansas City. That's where he got started, in the strip clubs.
Okay.
But in those days, they didn't call it a strip club. They call it B joints, where they would give them drinks like iced tea and say it was booze. And the girls would drink the iced tea and the guys would drink the real stuff, and they would put along. And that's how he got started, So he said, working in B joints. That's how I got started. Okay. And then when they brought him to Florida, he started working on the casinos on the cruise ships. That's what his business was. Yeah.
What was his relationship with you? It was strictly business?
My relationship with him, it started off when I was working as a waitress. He requested to have me go wait on him. And I did. I waited on him, and we became friends. And then all of a sudden he wanted to start dating me. And I was like, he was such a gentleman. He really was. And I said, what is it with this guy? He doesn't ask me for anything, not even a kiss or anything. And then after a while, he told me, "I respect you very much. I know you have a daughter, and I want to take care of you. I know you have a hard life, And then I told him about my personal problems at home with my father, that he was an alcoholic. Right. And he saw me beat up a few times. I had black and blue marks. And he said, "This can't go on. I'm taking you out of there, So that's what happened. And I was very grateful to him. In fact, when we first moved in together, he had a 2-bedroom duplex. I don't know if you know what a duplex is. Yeah. It's like 2 apartments. And one of his guys from his crew lived on one side, and we lived on the other side, but he had 2 bedrooms. And he said, "Joey, you take that room with your daughter, and this is my room. And as the time goes by and your daughter gets to know me, that's when we'll be together. But until then, I have respect for your daughter." I mean, where do you meet these kind of guys? You know what I mean? Yeah, right. So that's what happened. And we basically lived a very, very wonderful life. And then a year later, after being with him, he told me, he says, "Oh, by the way, you know that house you like?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "In Miami Shores?" I said, "Yeah, it's your house." He told me, "I bought it for you." So it went from him buying me a Cadillac to buying me mink coats. Every time I would come home, Italian men, they're into the saint thing. Every time I would come home, I'd see Jesus on one corner, Saint Teresa on the other, all kinds of saints in my room, Okay. And he would say, I'd say to him, "Oh my God, where'd you get all those clothes?" He'd have all my clothes lined up. "Where'd you get this?" They fell off a truck. So every time I needed something, everything was there. Right. I never wanted for anything.
But for some reason, you weren't satisfied with that.
No, I wasn't satisfied at all, because I wanted something on my own. I came from a very bad background, very bad abused background. Like I said, again, I took the rap for my mother. She brutally stabbed my father. I took the rap for her at a young age. I tried to commit suicide twice in my young age.
Sorry to hear
and
that.
I just could not deal with anybody pressuring me or anybody that drank a lot. I couldn't handle that, And he was a drinker, but not, at the beginning, he would drink just very little. But at the end, that's when he really started drinking, Gino. So to make a long story short, I did say to him, "I love you and we're together. We're raising my daughter." But I told Santo, I said, "I need a piece of this action. I cannot go on like this. I want to make money and take care of myself and build up a nest egg for myself in case something happens, So he said to me, that's a good idea because these guys, you can't trust them. I don't know, for some reason, he took a liking to me and he took a liking to Gino too. But anybody else that was around him, he really didn't care for them. He said they're all cutthroats, you know?
Right.
So that's what happened. And I wanted a piece of the action, and that's what happened. I started doing all sorts of things, you know.
What do you think? What was the most important thing you had to do for Santo Trafficante? Because from what I understand,
what I did for him was money, was money, exchanging money and bringing money to people. Okay. If he would give me a bag of something, which he did one time, and said, hey, I need you to take this to somewhere. I never looked at it. I said, yeah. Deliver it, But I will say this, the most hardest thing that I had to do being in the Mafia was, we had a gentleman by the name of Vinnie Rotolo. Mm-hmm. He used to work on the cruise ships, okay? And Gino had 3 cruise ships, the Flavia, the Boheme, and the Angelina Laura. Well, this young man, very nice looking guy, came from a well-to-do family. They were Italian. They owned a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And what happened was he got kicked off the ships because he was dealing cocaine. Okay. So Hyman Larner said, get him off the ship. That was Gino's, other boss. He said, get him off the ship. So we got him off the ship. And then what happened was the guy was desperate. He needed money. So he went and robbed the Four Seasons Hotel.
Wow, really? Okay.
He tied down 12 people. He got away with a few $1 million and a lot of safety deposit boxes, and took all of this and just took off. There was 3 people involved. Now, the 3 people that were involved were all arrested. But before they got arrested, what happened was he was hiding out. And he went to this trailer park, and his friend was staying there. And he said, hey, do you mind if I stay in your trailer park? And he said, no, go ahead. Well, a cop showed up there. A woman cop showed up there, knocked on the door. He thought that they were there for him. They were there for the other guy. Mm. So he ties up the police officer, holds her down. He says, I don't want to hurt you. He had a gun. And left her there, took off in the swamps. It's like a movie. Wow. Took off in the swamps and calls me up. Joey, please, you need to help me. Can you burn my fingers with acid? I said, no, man, I can't do that. You're going to have to turn yourself in. They're going to hunt you down like a dog. Right. Take off with me to Italy. I got millions of dollars. I'll give you whatever you want. I said, I can't. I'm connected with this guy here. They'll wind up killing you, if I took off with you. All right. So he comes, he surrenders. He goes to his mother's restaurant. He surrenders. They take him in a helicopter all the way to the reception center in Florida. He's handcuffed, shackled, everything. He says, Joey, I need you to do me a favor. Don't tell anybody where that money is. I got it stashed in Italy. I'm like, this is like a movie, So he says to me, okay. So he turns himself in, his mother and father. He goes to jail. Mm-hmm. While he's in jail, one of his co-defendants tells him, listen, if you don't give up the money, we're going to kill your dog. They had a shepherd. Mm-hmm. He said, fuck you. I'm not giving up the money. Okay. They killed the dog.
Oh, okay.
Then they said, give up the money or we're going to kill your parents. He said, fuck you. They killed his parents. His father just had surgery on his heart. His mother, Carmela, she ran the restaurant with the husband. She had the key in the door. When she put the key in the door, they blew her head off.
Wow.
Then they killed the father, shot him in the heart. They were both laying down on the ground, filled with blood. They didn't take their jewelry. They didn't take the money from the restaurant. Nothing. They just wanted to hit them. Right. Now, somebody calls up and says they saw a sniper behind a tree. Okay. So now this is going on for years. Afterwards, we went to the funeral. All the women showed up at the funeral. They didn't have any men show up because they had a bomb threat. Okay.
Jesus Christ.
He got out of the prison with a bright yellow shirt on and 2 bodyguards. They paid a lot of money to have him be there at the funeral with his father and mother side by side.
Right.
I'm sitting there saying, what the hell is going on here, right? So I had to call the family in Italy and tell them that the brother and the sister-in-law were both murdered.
Right.
They were executed, literally.
Yeah.
So now the son goes to prison. The first thing he does when he gets out, he calls me. Joey, I know Gino is dead. I know this one is gone. I know that one is gone. I need you to do me a favor and go to Italy and get that money. Minchia, where am I going to get money? You know what I mean? So I says, it's not no duck walk out there anymore. You know, this is hard to get money. You just can't go and bring that kind of money into the country. You know, it's not like in the 70s. So he says to me, okay, I'll have to work something out. So then he starts telling me he goes back into prison. He gets in trouble again, goes back into prison. The last time he got out, I said, listen, I'm going to help you because I loved your parents. His parents and I were very close. Mm-hmm. I said, listen, Vinnie, what do you need? He said, I need cigarettes. I need shirts. I need this. I need that. I brought him everything. He told my daughter, whatever your mother needs, God forbid she needs something done, you tell your mother to call me. I will never forget what she did for me.
Okay.
And I never forget her for trying to help me. And I knew she would have helped me with the fingerprints thing if she wanted me to get in trouble. But your mother always looked out for me and wanted me to go turn myself in instead of being hunted down. And she said, thank you. I'll tell her that. So that was the end of that. I never saw him again after that. I told him, please don't contact me. I don't need any heat, around. I don't want that kind of lifestyle anymore. And I mean, he really wanted me to be with him bad. I mean, another woman would jump at it. But see, once I got out of that life, I was offered many times to go back in the game. But I said no, because I have my grandkids, Johnny.
Yeah, it was different. Yeah.
And I don't want to visit them at an old age behind bars.
Right, right. Now you kept mentioning Hyman Larner. Who exactly is Hyman Larner?
What's that?
You mentioned Hyman Larner a few times.
Yeah.
Who is that?
Hyman Larner was from Chicago, basically. He had a few children, 2 children. One of his nephews was a lawyer for a consigliere, and the other one was a little bit involved with the business, not as much as him. Hyman Larner was I used to call him a consigliere, like somebody in between, Okay. He worked directly with Noriega out in Panama. They had a big house out there called the Glass House. And they had a hotel in Panama named the Bombito Hotel, which was well known. Those 2 places were bankrolled by the Mafia money. Now, the Mafia owned a lot of things. They owned Mayo Clinics, the hospital. They owned Midway. They owned Valley. They owned a lot of stuff. But the main thing that they were involved with was the casinos on the cruise ships. Now, years ago, from what I understand, in the 50s, before I was born, that they had a lot of casinos a few in Havana, but they had more of them in Las Vegas. But the Stardust, I know they owned that. But that was before my time. I was born in 53,
So did Hyman Larner work with Santo?
Hyman Larner worked with Joey from Chicago.
Oh, okay.
And he worked with Giancana back in the day for a while.
Okay.
And then he worked with Manuel Noriega. Yeah.
Okay. So, that's what I wanted to ask you about Manuel Noriega. Did you have any dealings with him? The only
dealings I had with Noriega, I loaded his planes. I used to go in the garage and I would go to the bank first, to the Federal Reserves, and I would get these $5,000 silver dollar bags. And then we'd make these boxes about so big, like little coffins, we called them. In the garage, we'd make about 20 of them. And we'd put pharmaceutical, like I call it, and we would put money, and the $5,000 in each bag would go in one box, and then they'd have prescriptive drugs because we had men on the payroll for drugs. Then they'd have lobster sent there from Joe Stone Crab in Miami. Big lobsters sent on the coolers. This all went on the plane.
Now, this was directly from Santo Trafficante and Manuel Noriega.
No, that was mostly from Hyman Larner.
Oh,
Hyman
I
Larner,
see.
all
Okay.
that stuff to Noriega. Yeah. See,
Okay.
Santo was basically given tributes from all over because
Oh, okay.
he was disposition man, where he would like he'd figure everything out and say, okay, you're going to go here, you're going to deliver this. He was the dude, the instructor, so to speak. He would let everyone know the commands, okay, and they would take it from there. But he was overlooking everybody, okay,
Right.
because he was the top dog. So
Yeah. He sat on the commission, right?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you really, before I get to your childhood, you really got your fingers dirty. This was not like, do me a favor and go do this. You were really in the mud with them.
I was a participant in the Mafia.
Yeah.
The FBI knew I was a participant. The FBI gave me immunity. The FBI told me, Joey, we can't do anything without you coming on the inside. That's why when I went to them and I said, hi, my name is so-and-so, they said, we'll be there in 15 minutes. And they were there in 15 minutes flat.
Okay. Well, I definitely want to get to that about the demise and how you got out of the life and the death of Santo Trafficante. But before that, I really want to know about your background, where you're from, and how you ended up in Miami.
Well, I'm originally from Manhattan. Well, I was born in Manhattan. I was raised in the Bronx.
Now, are you Italian or?
I'm half Italian, half Polish. My mother is Polish. My father's Italian.
Okay.
So I was raised in the Bronx, and then after I was about 12 or 13, we moved to Detroit. I shouldn't say 12 or 13, possibly 11, I'd say. We moved to Detroit. We went back and forth because my mother's family lived in New York. My father's family lived in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And then my real father lived in Brooklyn. Okay. Because he was my stepfather.
Okay.
So, and I found out that Paul Gallo was my real father when I was 19 years old. That's another story.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was raised half and half. I went half in New York, half in Detroit. And when I moved to Detroit, my father was a very, very heavy drinker. And that's when my mother tried to brutally stab him. She would have been sent away for attempted murder. If it wasn't for me, I saved her ass. I took the rap for her. And then after that, I got so many beatings from him. I lost my hearing because of one of the fights we had years ago. And what happened, it was really sad because I really did grow to love him. He raised me, not the right way, but he was a proud Marine of 14 years, but he was very brutal. He treated me like shit. I mean, I never had a happy day in my life living with him. And to tell you the truth, I think if it wasn't for God and Gino helping me, I don't know what would have happened to me, honestly. But when I moved back, after the stabbing and everything, my father got a big settlement from the government because they blamed it on the government because he went to go get the cure in the hospital and they had no room for him. So therefore, they gave him that money and we managed to move to Florida. We moved to Fort Lauderdale first. And then from Fort Lauderdale, I moved to Hollywood. And then from Hollywood, I met a gentleman, a young gentleman. He was going to school to be a doctor. And him and I had an affair. Well, we were young. And I had my daughter. Mm-hmm. So my daughter was born in 1972. And I worked in a restaurant. And it was pretty far from my house. And sometimes I'd walk to work or sometimes I'd take the bus. I didn't have a car at the time. And my father was a very heavy drinker. My mother would drink sometimes. So to make a long story short, I would go to work and support my daughter and live my life. And then finally I got transferred from Hollywood to North Miami. Mm-hmm. When I moved to North Miami, they made me the head waitress, I was in charge of all the waitresses. So I'm sitting there one day and I'm hanging out with this girlfriend of mine. She looked like Anne Margaret. She was a very pretty woman. And we were hanging out and three guys walked in. Gino walked in. They had double knits on. You know how they used to wear those knits years ago. And he had all these gold chains, and the other two guys were with him. They all smoking cigarettes and hanging out. And I'm inside the restaurant, and he says, hey, send the blonde over here. I want her to wait on me. So I said, okay, I'll be right over. So we started talking, and he goes, so you have a boyfriend? And I said, no, small talk, you know.
Right.
So one night he came in alone without his friends, and he said, hey, baby, how you doing? Can I get a cup of coffee? I said, yeah, sure, here. We start talking, shooting the breeze, and I said to him, so when you going to take me out? He goes, take you out? He goes, you're a young girl. He said, I'm old enough to be your father. I said, that's okay. You're a nice guy, you know. So he said, okay, how about I pick you up, and how about 8 o'clock, and don't be late. It was my birthday.
Wow. Okay.
So he says,
and how old were you? Do you remember?
I just turned 19, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how old was he?
So I was like, I met him. Nikki was born. She was about a year and a half. Yeah, probably about 19. So then he says, okay, we're going to go to this Italian restaurant called Capper's. It was a well-known restaurant where Frank Sinatra hung out and, you know, Anthony Quinn, all the big shots. So we went there, and they had all this Italians playing the guitars and everything. And then I was sitting there, and I see this huge tray come up with this huge cake, you know. I never had like this in my goddamn life, because, you know, where did I ever get a cake for my birthday, you know?
Right.
So they bring over the cake, and then we started talking, and he goes, listen, I brought my girlfriend, the redhead, because I didn't want to go alone. I didn't know him, you know, so he was just like a chaperone. So I brought her, and then he said to me, he says, okay, well, I'll take you home. You want me to take her home first? And I said, yeah. So we brought her home, and then he was taking me home, and he pulled over, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and he said, I really would like to start seeing you. I really like you. I said, thank you. You know, I was very kind of naive and shy, you know, I was like, you know.
Yeah, right.
So then he said to me, oh, I got something for you. And he pulls out this little pouch, and inside the pouch, it was a gold chain with a cross and a long jeans watch.
And this was your first date?
The first date. I'm like, and he goes, oh, by the way, he says, Johnny, he goes, I got an envelope for you. And he gives me an envelope, have $500. You know, $500 for me back in the day, and I'm struggling making tips, you know. I'm like,
yeah, right.
So he said, here, buy your daughter something. He always wanted me to be with my daughter. You know, he was very happy that I had a daughter. So to make a long story, so I said to him, I said, okay. He said, baby, I got to go to Chicago. He says, but I'll be back. He had a bronze colored car. I think it was a Regency. I think it's by Oldsmobile.
Wow.
And,
yes, I remember those.
Yeah. And he said to me, he says, what's your favorite color? And at the time it was silver. You know, it's always been black, but I said silver. And he goes, okay, well, I'll see you when I get back from Chicago. When he came back, he had a brand new silver Cadillac. And he said, this is going to be your car. I'm like, what? You know? So after that, we started dating. And then he said, eventually, my father beat me up real bad one night, and I went to work, and I had a bad black and blue eye. And he said, how come you can't see me tonight? I said, no, I can't see you. I'm not going out tonight. I'm not feeling well. So the next day when I went to work, he saw me all beat up, and he said, no, this ain't happening. Get your daughter, he said. Came over, I said, you got to go talk to my dad. He's not going to just let me leave. He goes, oh, believe me, I'll talk to him. Wow. So he went to see him. First thing my dad said was, have a drink. He said, oh, it's a little too early for me, he told him. And so he said, okay, what the hell? He had a drink with him. And he said, listen, I really care about your daughter and your granddaughter. He said, and I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want to see her black and blue like that ever again. And I'm going to take her out of this house. And my dad goes, who the hell do you think you are? Right. You know, fine act, the old macho act. And he goes, I'm nobody to you. But to her, I care about her, and I think I could give her a better life. So my dad didn't say nothing. He said, whatever. And I said, Gino, I'll just get my daughter's stuff. He goes, no, forget the stuff. Take your daughter, grab the bottle, and let's get the hell out of here. You don't need nothing. I'll buy you whatever you need. I said, okay. Got my little purse, and I just took off. when I got to his house, he had everything laid out already for me. Anything you want, just write it on a list and I'll get it for you. I don't care what it is, he told me. I said, okay, what kind of soap did I use? What kind of toothpaste? Everything I wanted, he would get me, you know. Mm-hmm. So then after, like I said, then after a year, I used to watch all the guys come over and have coffee and hang out. And I used to talk to all the guys, Sonny, I used to talk to Tommy, I used to talk to, and we all got along great. And then one day I said, man, what is going on here? All this money coming in and, you know, where's it coming from? Mm-hmm. Well, I asked him one day, I said, where's all this money? He said, I'm in the import and export business. They all say that. Yeah. I mean, you got guys, you know, he's got coats in the closet filled with $100 bills like this. And he's telling me he's in the import and export. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So he was, you know, like I said, he was a great guy. We got along great. But as he got older, they kind of like were retiring him, you know, because he was lacking. And he got old, you know, let's face it. When you get old, you get tired, you know.
But how old was he? How old was he when you guys moved in together?
I don't know. I don't remember offhand. He might have been in his 50s at the time. Yeah, I was 19. He's probably like in his early 50s because I don't remember even how old he was when he died, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I think he was 60 something. Okay. But what got me was that him and I had a great relationship. He was okay, but he never wanted to be with me, with other people. And that's one thing that bothered me. That's why I had such rage inside of me against him, because he would go out with his friends and they'd have their women. And he would always tell me, oh, here, babe, here's a few hundred. Stay with Nikki in the room or watch TV or go out and eat dinner, whatever, you know. Always money, money, money. It was like I was a fucking prostitute, you know.
Right,
I told
right.
And I said, I don't want to live like this. You know, I get my own shit.
Right.
And that's it, you know.
That's exactly what he did. You know, most girls would have been completely satisfied being in that position, but there was something about you that you wanted more. Now, I mean, we've been talking for about maybe a half hour or so right now. Did you, I mean, your story is so fascinating. You wrote a book? I have 2 books out. Okay. They're already sold out because I had a problem. I had a book called Joie Miami and I had a book called Bossalina of Miami. Okay. Now they were all sold out. However, from what I understand, I'll be working on another book that will be revised, you know, and tell my story. We do have another podcast. It's on Amazon, Apple. It's with Astralight. And it's called Joie Miami, and my daughter is the narrator on that. Oh, okay, great. Because this would be a fascinating movie, or I don't even think it could be a movie. It would have to be like a streaming service, multiple episode, because there's just too much information. You know, you need 2 seasons of 10 episodes. Johnny, tell you something, Johnny. To me, I don't know if you ever watch Netflix. I watch Netflix, and I'll tell you the truth. I have seen a movie. It's called Anna Delvey. It's a true story about a woman that was a con artist in New York. Okay, I don't know if you heard about it. Yeah, actually, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. See, my story has so much to tell. It would have enough for so many series. Yeah. Okay, you talk about the mafia, the drug world. I could tell you stories about drug dealers that I have dealt with years ago that were their wives were my friends. Okay. Mm. Alberto San Pedro, Willie Falcone, Escobar, you know, who my daughter adores. My daughter loves Escobar. She loved him. So all of these people, and then I have the parts where men were, what do you call it? Execution style killed. Okay. I have one guy that came to the house. His son, they thought it was him coming out of a beauty salon one day. And instead of killing the father, they killed the son by accident. Oh, wow. And then they killed him, James Tortorelli. He was involved with our crew, too. And they killed him. Some Colombians killed him for drugs. Okay. Wow. Then I have Vincenzo Rotolo, the guy that I just told you about. That's another part of my life. So all of this. Then how about I had 4 Bordellos at one time. Okay, that's another story. You really did? You were acted as a madam? I had 4 Bordellos at one time. Yeah. Whoa. And so it wasn't exactly a bordello. It was
it was a place where men would go that had, a lot of money, of course. And it was basically fetishes. Like, let's say if a guy wanted to have a woman, see it with another woman, or have a foot fetish, or have this kind of fetish. So we had stores like that.
That's
They
amazing.
would pay the house $60 a shot. And there'd be a room set up with all the women. And they pick a woman and go in a cubbyhole with her, a room. And after they're done with her, then they would, my daughter called me up one day and says, Mom, I need some cat food. I said, Nikki, we don't have a cat. I know, but one of the guys want to eat cat food.
My God. Oh my God. That is amazing.
So you see, we had all kinds of freaks,
Wow.
And I mean, I shouldn't say freaks because they were good paying customers.
Yeah.
We had lawyers, judges, the governor. We had all kinds of people.
Wow. Somebody really has to get in touch with you, whether it's Amazon and Netflix or whomever. And this would be a blockbuster.
This story can go on and on and on. Now, at the end of the rainbow, I met a very young man. We fell in love. Actually, he fell in love.
Now, this was after Gino?
After everybody was out of my life, at the end of the rope, after the FBI, after Gino, after everything.
Okay.
I met a young man. I was walking down the street and I met this man, and I told him, he said, hi, in those days I was very pretty. He says, you're a very pretty lady. I said, thank you. I was in my 40s. And he said, I'd like to go out with you. And I said, how old are you? And he said, I'm 21. I said, oh, you're too young, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I'm not. He goes, I like you. So what happened was he told his parents, because he was living at home, and they were Arab. And he told his parents, I'm in love with this woman. She's American and I want to be with her. Well, eventually he fell in love with my granddaughter.
My God.
No, I mean, she was a little girl. He fell in love.
He scared the shit out of me.
By my house, and he would see her playing. And he
like that. Okay.
So my granddaughter is like the apple of my eye. I just adore her.
Of course.
So what happened was he says, I really like you. Won't you give me a chance? So I did. And that man turned out to be the best man in my whole entire life. He loved me unconditionally. He gave me everything. I never had to work with him. My daughter never worked because he helped support her too. Mm-hmm. And he just worked 2 jobs, and he told me, I'll do whatever I have to do to make you love me. Well, after that went on we were together for like 3 years. And on the 4th year, he said, I want to marry you. And if you don't marry me, I'm leaving you. And I said, what am I going to do here? He was like 24 years old. And I said, okay. Well, we were in New York. We moved to New York in the Upper East Side, a real posh area, right near Al Pacino and all of them. And he said to me, we'll go back to Florida. We'll go back. We'll take Nikki and the baby and we'll go back to Florida. I said, okay. So we loaded up the truck and we went back to Florida. And he went back to work for his father. And my favorite holiday, Christmas, he was murdered.
What?
Yeah. So his brother always hated me because I was American. Okay. So he was murdered. Some man walked in the store. His father owned a grocery store. And he asked him a price of something. And he said, it's $1.59. The guy said, F you, I'm not paying $1.59. So he shot him 3 times, dead.
Wow.
Well, that day I called him up at the store and I kept hearing the phone click down, click down, click down. I said, what the hell is going on? The police called me and said somebody was shot on the property. I'm figuring he shot somebody because he always carried a gun.
Okay.
The gun was in the house that day. He didn't take the gun. The guy got out of prison 10 days prior and shot him in the back 3 times, and he fell right on the concrete and died.
Wow. My God, that is just...
Now, after that happened, the guy confessed that he shot him, and the father said, if you don't get the guy who shot my son, I'm going to kill him myself. And they were all Arabs. They had guys come from Jordan, and they were going to take care of this guy.
Oh, and I believe it with those people. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So my boyfriend was dead. And then his brother, who hated me, he got arrested for trying to tell a DEA agent that he wanted to blow up a building, an undercover agent.
Okay.
And no, ATF. He said to the ATF, I need this. They had some competition in the neighborhood. And he said, I want to take these people out. I don't care if they die or not. I want them taken out. So the ATF guy told him, okay, give me 500 up front and give me the rest when we kill them. They came back the second time and they arrested him. Well, when he went to prison, he said, please, Joey, give me a hand. You know, he hated me this whole time.
Right.
Please, Joey, I know you got connections. Can you give me a hand? Help me out here. I said, yeah, I'll help you out. So I told the FBI, I said, you know that guy? There was a guy in the neighborhood that took this woman and she got caught stealing in the store. So he kept her inside the store and chained her up and killed her. And I knew that. So I told the FBI, I'll give you the guy who did this if you give my so-called boyfriend's brother a break. So he got 3 years in a boot camp and they captured the guy that killed the woman.
Real. Oh, we have to get in touch with Mark.
And it goes on. Okay.
Yeah,
So
we gotta contact Scorsese or something.
I'm telling you. So now here's the other part.
Oh, there's more.
Like, I say to myself, you know, this is crazy. So then this all gets done. And then I run into Bob Levinson, who was my federal agent who worked with me. Come to find out, they capture him in Iran. I find out that he went from the FBI retirement to the CIA.
Really?
And now I'm trying to contact my guys in the FBI to find out what the hell is happening to Bob, who was my friend in the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's another story. They killed him.
Oh my God. We need a 3-hour interview.
I'm telling you. So, you know, that's why I said there's so many parts to this story. Right. And I have so much detail, so much more to tell you, Johnny. It's just that it would take, like you said, a good 3 or 4 hours. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
Let's just, were you there when Santo Trafficante died?
No, actually, right before he died, I had gone to his house and I needed money and I had to go. I met his wife at a department store and then she picked me up. I laid down in the back of her car so nobody would watch us. Got out in her garage. The garage door opened and she closed the garage door, went inside the house. And I said, hey, Pop, how you doing? We started talking. I said, listen, I need some money. He said, how much do you need? I told him. He said to his wife, give her the money. I said, you know, I'm not doing too good, this and that. And he said to me, listen, I'm going in the hospital. I have angina, something to do with his heart. He said, and when I get out of the hospital, I promise you, I'll give you a hand with you and Nikki. I said, okay, Pop, thanks so much. And I was going to kiss him. And he said, I got something for you. And he handed me a little box with 2 diamond earrings, you know, for my ears. And I said, boy, thanks a lot. He goes, you've always helped me, Joey. I'll never forget. It brought tears to my eyes because I never loved anybody like that. You got to understand, Johnny, I'm raised with no affection, no encouragement, no compassion. And when somebody shows me a little compassion, it tears me up because I'm not used to that. You see, that's why I'm so goddamn tough because I could eat nails. That's how tough I am. You know, Sure. I don't have what they call, I don't have this or that in me. I have a lot of rage. Rage is very bad because I don't ever want to get to the point where I'm mad at somebody because the rage takes over. You know, I don't need a gun. I don't need a knife, even though I have both. My bare hands, you understand?
Yeah. It's just something comes over you.
I have so much rage of being beat up for all those years. What the hell would I be afraid of a woman for, or a man for that matter? I wouldn't give a shit, you know? Right. So I try to conduct myself in a nice manner. I try not to be like, you know, a roughneck or anything. There's times when I could turn into that way, but I prefer to stay like a lady. I don't want to be that like I was years ago. But when I get on certain men and stuff, I go back into that mode. It's just natural. you know.
Yeah. I can only imagine with the background that you.
But no, I wasn't there, Johnny, when he died. I was basically, I visited him in his home in Miami, not the one in Tampa. And I told him, I'll see you when you get back, Pop. And that was it. In fact, I didn't even attend the funeral. I did. It was too far away. Yeah.
Okay. So,
but he's buried in Tampa. He's buried in Tampa.
Okay.
I have visited the grave. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you maybe 2 more questions, and then I'm going to let you go, because we've been talking for about 45 minutes now. What led you to go to the FBI? What led you to want to leave the life?
Well, what happened was, after Gino went in the hospital, my daughter had taken care of him. Every day she was with him. And then all of a sudden, Gino's bodyguard called up his son and told him to come down, that they were going to take him back to Chicago to die, so to speak. Well, I said to him, I said, what is your son doing here? After 13 years, he only visited you once out of all the years I've been with you, 14 years. Why would he want to come down here now? For money. What do you think?
Right.
So he came down, and then when I came back, I went back to my house and I told Nikki, I said, all right, let's go home and let's get this and that. We went to go get our stuff. Everything was cleared out of the house. Everything. Her bed, her rocking chair for when she was a little girl. I had a warehouse filled with stuff that was all cleared out. So I said, that's fine. Now, don't forget, I got all the keys to Noriega's house, Hyman's house. I got the keys to everybody's house. So I said, okay, that's cool. They want to play this goddamn game, I'll play it. So I called them up in Panama. I said, hey, this is Joey. I need money. You know, I'm with my daughter. I have nothing. They hung up the phone. I called Chicago. Hi, this is Joey. I need a few dollars. You know, I'm hurting over here. I got my daughter. Boom. I said, that's the way you want to play it? After 14 years of dedication, the Mafia is a disgrace. The Mafia should be ashamed of themselves, because if Trafficante was alive, he would have never let me like that.
Right.
He would have been the first one there to say, hey, what do you need, Joey? I'll give you whatever you need for apartment, for furniture, whatever you need.
Right.
That's the way it's supposed to be when a woman is alone with a Mafia man, because I know, because many men died and all those women got checks every month until
they were taken care of. Yeah.
They didn't give me a goddamn thing. So you know what I did? I took my keys and went to their place, and I had some beautiful chandeliers that probably cost about $4 or $5 grand, and took what I needed to take and say, bye, thank you, we're even now. What were they going to do? Call the police?
Right.
I had the access numbers. I had the keys. I had the keys to all their warehouses, and I just helped myself. How did they like it?
Right.
So I guess we're even. That's how I looked at it. Okay. And that's what made me go to the FBI. And they said to me, are you doing this out of revenge? Definitely. I'm fucking doing it. Definitely. Right. Because they take the money and the food out of my daughter's mouth. They deserve it. Okay. Right. And the Mafia should be embarrassed like hell, because in my opinion, they're not real men. The real men in the Mafia would never see a woman with her child out like that. Mm-hmm. So that's what provoked me to do that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So then when you go to the FBI, how many arrests did that lead to?
I'm sorry? How did they do what?
No, when you went to the FBI, how many arrests did that lead to?
I don't know offhand, because most of the guys were either ill or dying. And a lot of the men that were going to be indicted, they dropped dead. Wow. Gino was going to be indicted, he died. Salvador was going to be indicted, he passed away. All the men that were there they confiscated a lot of their stuff. That's what they were interested in. They wanted to get their properties, they wanted to get their planes, they wanted to get all the monopoly on their stuff. And the majority of it they did take. And I was supposed to get a percentage, which I never did, but yeah.
Now, did you have to go into the witness protection program or anything like that?
No, my protection was my 38.
Okay.
I didn't, protection. My daughter carries a 9mm, and I carry a gun too.
Okay. Okay. Um, Now, how long has it been since you've been out of their life?
I've been out of the life, over 25 years now. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And
You got to
so,
remember, I was very young. All those people that I was involved with, they were very powerful. There was a few of them that hated me. There was a few of them that loved me. I personally loved a lot of those people because that's the only family I ever had. And Johnny, again, when you're raised with not any love or any respect or anything, that's why, my friend Larry Mazza, him and his wife are very compassionate people. And I always tell them all the time, I'm very grateful to have you in my life because they've helped me a lot mentally,
yeah.
because I'll tell you, I just couldn't get through a lot of it without them. They really helped me a lot.
Yeah.
And
Larry and his wife are great, great people.
I know
They
they
really
are.
are.
When I met you, I said, oh my God, I went crazy because you're such a nice guy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody that I've met on the podcast are wonderful people,
Okay.
wonderful, and
So,
the last but least, the only thing I need to do to complete my life before I die is to make a movie. That's what I want.
well, if you get to the right person and give them that pitch, I don't know how they turn it down because it is an amazing story. So so you are starting up your own podcast, right?
No, I just go on podcasts with people, but I did have the one podcast with Astrolight. My Kelly is my agent, and I'm connected with a gentleman that they're connected with, and that's how I got a contract. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. All right. That sounds pretty good. I'm gonna ask you one more question and then
Fine.
that's it. I won't keep you any longer.
You want to leave me?
Hey, I just, I feel bad when I have, when there's so much information and I know I could keep somebody on for hours. I'm like, okay, let's get to the key points that people want to hear. And 'cause I feel bad when the people are sitting there and I even did it with Larry. The first time I interviewed him, I got to about an hour and I was like, okay, Larry, we could stop,
Yeah, but you know what? When you're enjoying the company of somebody and you're talking about, certain things of your life, it's not only good therapy mentally, it helps me a great deal. And when I talk about it, I see it all over in my mind to the T. I see the coloring, the background, where it's coming from. And, I have a lot of fans out there that really love my story too.
Okay.
And a lot of homegirls in the Bronx, they tell me, we love you, because they see men all the time, but they never see a real mafia woman.
No, it's the truth. Like the only two I could think of is you and Griselda Blanco. Those are the only two I could really think of.
The one thing I didn't like about her, personally, I never liked her because she killed children. And
yes, she was a stone cold killer.
She was ruthless. First of all, the mafia never involves the wife or the kids. Never. Yeah. Okay. Man thing, basically.
Right.
So that's one thing, the mafia never believed in killing your kid or killing your wife. I've never heard of that. Drug dealers, yeah, I know they kill, wife and kids. In fact, years ago, somebody came to me, they said, Joey, we know about this heist that's going down and we'll pay you whatever you want. We need the inside. And I told them, you don't have enough money for me because those Colombians, they will kill you. They don't care.
Yeah. Well, if people don't know, Griselda Blanco was trying to get somebody killed and wound up killing a 3-year-old by mistake. But she had, when reported to her, apparently she had no remorse. So I think she was more of a sociopath, really, than
because when they killed that little boy, she went to kill somebody and killed his wife and his 2 kids, but they killed a little baby. I said, that's not a woman, that's a bitch.
No, I think she was a sociopath.
She'll rot in hell for that.
Absolutely. There's no question about it. So in Miami, when you think about it, you think of the Colombians, you think of Cubans. In the 70s and 80s, when you were involved, how much were the Italians mixed up with the Colombians and Cubans? Because that in Miami was like the height.
Well, it depends because I knew a lot of Latins there that were drug dealers. Alberto San Pedro was one of the biggest drug lords there in my time frame. In fact, his his wife went to prison for dealing drugs also, and his stepson dated my daughter, and his stepdaughter, it's weird, that's another story. His stepdaughter had a baby with the mother's husband. Yeah.
Jesus. All right.
So it was like a mixed up thing. But anyway, she was a very good friend of mine, and my bodyguard started dating her. And I said, "Are you crazy? Her husband will kill you, you know?" She said, "I don't care. I really dig this chick." I said, "You're crazy." But a lot of things, well, in my opinion, getting back to what you asked me, I think that the mafia was involved to a certain extent, not a lot, because the mafia really never liked getting involved with that side of people. Escobar, maybe, yes. But in Noriega, for that drug situation, maybe. But they never were into it heavy. They would probably rather shun it than to get involved with it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. They were more into casinos, prostitution, gambling, what else? Hospitals. They had big businesses too, you know, like pinball and stuff like that. But I think that was probably least on their list, even though they were involved with drugs, obviously, but not to the extreme where it took over them. You know what I mean? Because the town were known for other things, moonshining and stuff like that.
Yeah, so, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think
as it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because the during the time the Colombians and Cubans really let it take over, you know, Miami and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Because I had interviewed somebody who grew up in Florida, Anthony Cauchi. Cauchi or something like that. I think Cauchi, I think his last name is, and he was Italian, and he had a lot of dealings with Cubans and Colombians, and really deep into the drug world with them, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But back in the 70s and 80s, yeah, I think the old timers really shunned it, like the Traficantes and so on and so forth. You're pretty accurate about that. But you had mentioned that you had some dealings with them. With the who were the two brothers that you mentioned that were I forgot.
They had, there was Willie Falcone,
right,
and there was
right,
Alberto San Pedro. Alberto San Pedro, I met him. Actually, I was living in a building at the time. Okay. He lived upstairs in the penthouse. I lived on the 5th floor. His second wife was living with him, with his mother. She used to sneak down all the time to see me because she liked my bodyguard. So we were downstairs in the mailroom. I had a robe on, actually, in the mailroom. He came down, and the FBI was there, and he goes, "Are they there for you or are they there for me?" I said, "I don't know." So we started talking, and he said, "You know my wife, Jenny?" I go, "Yeah, I know her." He goes, "Oh, so you're Joey?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh." So that's how basically we met.
Okay.
And then I found out he had a huge house in Miami, which, you know, was on a regular street, but he was the biggest house on the street.
Mm-hmm.
And he had custody of her two sons, Abadico and Michael. So that's how I knew she gave up her sons to him. She had kids with him, and her mother had kids with him. That's another story. So basically, those are the drug dealers that I knew. Now, Willie Falcone, I knew a few people that were friends with him. In fact, I dated one of his friends for a while, nothing serious. And that was it. Like I said, I basically didn't get around too many of those people. They would always come find me, you know.
All right. Okay. All right. So you were more directly with the Italians and the you know what they ran. Okay. Yeah. All right. Joey, I'm gonna let you go. This is a fascinating interview, and I wish I had like, you know, 2 more interviews to have you on, because I mean there's so much information. But somehow somebody's got to get a hold of Scorsese or Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hulu or
let me know. But I'll tell you, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. And I got your shirt. Thank you.
Thank you.
And did you get my picture?
No, I didn't. Did you send it today? I didn't check it.
I mailed it out to you. So you should be getting it soon.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
But listen, thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate it. And hold on a second. I got the chief coming over here. Say good night to Johnny.
Did she beat you up?
Yeah, Larry, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate
you.
everything.
Good deal. I'll see you soon again.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care of yourself and thanks again.
Thank you. I appreciate everything. Bye-bye.
All right.